You've been taking it, bringing, what do you want to call it, prednisone?
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
a stage thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna hate that.
It's a pain in the ass because it interferes with her
Yeah.
sugar. And
Yeah.
she's taking shots.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I had to do that one time when I get into freezing ivy. Got it.
Recording in progress.
If I could ask everyone to rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. Gentlemen, we'll start with our minutes of our meeting held on August 8th. Could I have a motion, please?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Ooh, sorry, Sonny.
Yeah, sure you are.
Okay, our first order of business this morning is Heritage Commission Penstock update. And I think we have Jack here to talk about that. Good morning, Jack. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Thank you for letting me speak today. So I know Alicia sent some questions that you had.
I know that post is not in a good place, is it?
So I'm here today for two reasons, actually. So to answer those questions that you have. Now that we've received the evaluation, you have that. And then to fill you in on some discussions that we've had at our meetings, to think about what we need to have done. Right now, there's really no plan to pay for it. We don't have a plan because we think just this initial site evaluation plan is very costly. So before any report or, any presentation that they have for us, it's going to cost a lot of money for them to just initially to come out and look at it. So I've already met with Sarah and Karen to discuss this report, and they checked into some possible ways to maybe see if there was some way that the town could help different departments, and they also agreed that it was too expensive. So when the previous land use technician presented this to us, he was worried about it dropping into the river. The person, the consultant that came out, Mr. Watney, he said it's been here for over 100 years. It's probably not just going to drop into the river. And if it does, it'll just stay put right there and probably won't move. So it's going to, before this happened, we would like to propose ways of protecting some other safety issues that we saw. There are two openings, of course, that you know, on the penstock itself that has the supports. We were hoping to maybe propose to have grates or some caps put on there for safety reasons. Not that we know of, anyone's climbed into it or anything's happened to our knowledge yet, but we're very concerned about the two openings on the penstock itself. The same caps should probably be put, or grates of some kind, on the two ends, on the north end, the north side of the pipe that goes right into the ground, and then the south side over here by Main Street. Mr. Watney and his assistant actually climbed into that one, and they crawled down the pipe and noticed as the pipe turned the corner over here by the stop sign on 140, there was part of that had collapsed. So they couldn't go any further, but they were willing to go as far as they could in that pipe. So I brought that to Sue and Sarah and Karen's attention, because I guess there's a proposal with the DOT to do some work at the end of 140 there in Main Street. So for the DOT to know about that pipe that's underneath 140 is going to be very important. And then there's some exposed pipe over here by Wallace Road's bench. There's a couple of small holes in there. Again, probably not going to get much larger very quickly, but the pipe is definitely exposed there. And we're concerned that someone might try to make the holes bigger, or there might be someone possibly tripping or falling over there. So we're looking at possibly some type of cover to go over that exposed pipe to protect that for a long time. So we would be more than capable of funding those types of safety projects, but as far as the total restoration of the penstock or preserving it for another 150 years, maybe it will be okay. Mr. Watney did mention that if they did put in some preservation or did use some type of material to preserve it, it might last another 80 years beyond what it's going to last now, but he couldn't guarantee how long it would last. So we're not looking for any more funds, nor do we think as a Heritage Commission that we can undertake something necessary, even maybe for grants or to take this on totally. So we did discuss many other options, from moving it maybe closer to the mill, to stabilizing the supports, to turning it to face in a different direction so you could see it better from the road. But after the New Hampshire Preservation Society gave us some advice, they were able to direct us to the structural engineer, Mr. Watney, and to help us with some ideas. And as you see from just that site plan, it's a lot of money. So just wanted you to be aware of those safety concerns that we had. As I said, I met with Sue and Karen about those. So we're presenting to you and would ask that if you want more to be done, that maybe some other group or committee can take this on, but we just feel that it's too much for us to do.
Any questions?
Yeah. The open end jack of this pipe that's up the street here.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very clever welder, and I'd call him machine maker in our public works department. I will ask Craig one day to have him look at that and see if we can make a grate for that end, get it installed at our cost versus, and I think that's a great idea to block the end of that off. I mean, they're not gonna get in from the other end, but that end of that might not be a bad idea to block that off. And I'll ask Craig if he can, if not, if he can advise us on someone. If it's too big a project for that man, then we could use his judgment to block. I think that should be blocked off.
I'm surprised that somebody hasn't crawled in there at this point and is living in there or something, who knows?
Right,
But
because there have been some people under the bridge on
yeah,
occasion.
that's what I thought, that's what I thought of that. I'm amazed that it wasn't filled with, junk or something from
Right.
someone camping out there.
Yeah, and as I said to Sue and Karen, we didn't want to broadcast this and say that
No.
we're looking into this, because
Right.
then we might get more visitors.
Yep,
So,
yeah.
although it's,
All right. Well, again, maybe we can talk with Craig and come up with at least something to, as I'm looking at the figure, that's a hard, that's a,
we were
that's a
floored
hard
by it,
chunk
yeah.
of money to try to preserve. I mean, I understand, but there is limitations, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the information.
Sure.
And Craig, I'm sorry, yes, Ron, sorry.
I had met with the committee earlier, I think it was last year. We were talking about shoring that up, and my suggestion is that we've got scaffolding in town on this end, to put scaffolding in to support that up while the masonry part can be rebuilt, because that was part of the thing that was crumbling.
Oh,
On this end.
yeah, the concrete part, yeah, or whatever, yeah.
And the history of the section that is missing. Pipe Industries at the time took that piece of pipe and brought it over to Tilton, when he was putting his runway in, and put a culvert underneath the
Milo.
runway. That, you know, that's what happened to that piece of pipe.
Oh, I'll be darned. So who knows, that must be long gone because it's all
Well,
long gone,
happened.
yeah.
It collapsed, so they've cut that road off going through there back of, in front of Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah,
That's where they used that piece of pipe. So
oh, I'll be darned.
that's what happened to that. But as far as blocking it off, you don't necessarily have to put steel in there. You could make it out of wood, put it in there, and just secure it in there. It'd be probably cheaper than using steel.
Oh, some pressure treated or something?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, 2x6 or whatever, if you
Yeah.
pick up be like a barrel top type thing, or just put it in and secure that in, if that's what
Sure.
Whatever.
you want to do. But as far as
Whatever.
the other goes, we've got scaffolding in town and to hold that up while we get a mason or somebody to patch up
Crumbling part.
the cement, or the things.
Okay.
Save a lot of money to get somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, all right.
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you. Let's go down to old business and Mark is here. And, Mark, code enforcement case updates. Why don't we do Mark next and then we'll, even though that's under old business, we'll get you.
Yeah, Mark had advised that he has an appointment that he has to get to, so.
Yep.
Yep,
So if I speak loudly enough,
yep,
you're
you
fine?
can sit right there, yes.
Or you can
Yep.
use the podium.
Either or, wherever you're comfortable.
So I figured I was talking to Colleen, who was doing minutes, I figured it was better to give you guys the updates, and then she'll have a copy, for the minutes, and then basically see if you had any questions, on any of these. I do have a couple of updates since last Wednesday. On the 15 Johnson Street, it appears, hopefully, that I've actually spoken to someone who that'll be my point of contact from here on out, versus being shuffled to the 12 and 13, other people that
Yep.
really aren't interested in speaking to us, as a town. So I'm taking that as progress right now. With that, they're discussing actually because of all the eviction issues, or I guess not following through on the eviction process, the management company has asked us, would it be okay if they relocated all of the stuff that's on the property? And I said, well, that's a step in the right direction, because they can't dispose of it yet, because it might be important to the previous tenant.
Oh, that's right, because if you evict somebody, you have to hold it for,
10 days once they've actually been evicted.
yep, you're exactly.
And so, yes, relocating it, I think, will actually help the squatters that are currently nesting in different areas of the, of the property. My suggestion to them was, well, if you have the ability to relocate the property, let's bring in half a dozen dumpsters and relocate it to inside the dumpster, because it's not leaving the property. They still have the ability to go through it if they need to. She thought that was a great idea. She didn't know if that would be approved or not, above her. But I in talking to them, I said, well, why do the work twice? Let's relocate it to, inside the container, and then when they're...
As long as it's not gonna be there for a year.
Right, well, it's gonna have to be there until the eviction can go through. And I've made contact with the attorney firm who is handling the eviction process. I have not been able to speak with somebody yet, but I'm trying to light a fire underneath them, because there was 2 different steps that they should have followed through on from the middle of May, when they originally served the first eviction notice, and that they haven't done. And so I've informed them of that through a paralegal, but I haven't actually been able to speak to the attorney yet.
I guess if I was a neighbor, I guess I'd probably be a little bit more happy to look at a dumpster versus,
It would be progress.
yeah, it would be progress.
Yep. So that's happened, like I said, since I wrote this up. I had, and the 176 Turtle Mountain Road, the RVs are now gone. I noticed that on Thursday afternoon. when I went out, so that was a big progress on that. The 752 Laconia Road, they are going backwards, unfortunately. I've talked to him, he just, he doesn't get it. So.
Next step.
Yes, I believe that's where we're at. I mean, he was making progress when the title changed ownership. He had actually done quite a bit, and in the month of July, he went backwards significantly.
That was a shill move. He's just a shill for the, yeah. Take him to court.
Yep.
Take him to
I
court.
mean,
Well
the
done,
whole
Clay.
purpose with this is that obviously we were very much aware that when we started this process that we're gonna end up in court at some point with some of these, and it is what it is, unfortunately.
Yep. So I don't know if you guys had any other questions
Pigeon.
on.
It's a pigeon. The pigeons are hitting the side of the building. Yeah, sorry. They just went by us. Okay, I don't have any questions.
I think you're doing a good job. Great
Yeah,
job.
we have no complaints, that's for
But
sure.
yeah, turn that over, get that in the legal hands.
Yeah.
Right off, no more stories.
Is there any more that you feel we need to go on to legal in the next step?
So, let's see here. So on the inside of on the back page, obviously for legal, we have 15 Johnson Street. Now I know, I guess I'm a little, I'm not exactly sure where the legal is on 15 Johnson. I know they were obviously involved with the foreclosure and everything, but I haven't seen them really doing much. I know that we spoke to them in June. Their recommendation was to go after Deutsche Bank.
This is the legal.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
legal made that recommendation. We paused. I think we had the discussion. We paused on that to kind of see what was going to happen with the management company. I've been pretty disgusted with the management company. They've been great on another piece of property down 106, which is where I'm going to be at 11 o'clock. The response has been fabulous. I don't understand why the response on 15 Johnson has been so atrocious.
Maybe it's because it's just so overwhelming when you drive up there. I mean, probably they don't, yeah, I think that could be part of the issue, but.
It's gonna.
I'd send him a
take
certifi-
skid steer with a tine bucket and dumpsters and.
I'd send them a 15-day certified letter upon receipt to whoever you're talking to down there. We'll take the property. That'll shake them up. I mean, if we take it, it'll get cleaned up quick, and we're not playing with these people anymore. This is real life. You get caught for DWI, you're in. I mean, that's it. I mean, these guys are just, they're yanking our chain, and we're in August now. We played this since May. We're in September, damn near.
Right.
And it's gonna be there all winter, and it's gonna be a mess. And then there's gonna be more people living in there in the middle of winter. We're gonna be calling him to go up there and you chase them out. And
And I've
him,
been doing
to
that weekly.
make sure they don't get killed over there.
The problem is you start running in the winter, it becomes harder because judges won't put people out.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, so Deutsche Bank, I mean, just to try to do the Reader's Digest version, Deutsche Bank is not claiming any responsibility
Oh, of course not.
of the property in any way, shape, or form. They are the sole owner on, as far as the New Hampshire deeds, and I have sent that information to Deutsche Bank to, tell them, because they're saying, no, we don't technically own the property, and I'm telling them, yes, you do. And so I've sent that to Deutsche Bank, I've sent that to Guardian Management, because even Guardian Management is saying, that.
All you gotta do is have our lawyer set a writ to quit. They get a writ for that. That means they're giving up their mortgage. They're done. They're out. And at that point, if we have to take the property back, it's such a mess. I don't care if we burn the damn thing. I mean, the lot's worth something.
Yeah. So is that a decision of as far as?
And I'm not being told by some clerk about a mess here in Belmont that we did not incur. We didn't create it. It got created in our town. We're not having a pencil pusher tell us how it's gonna get handled. That's why I feel about it.
And if our firm, if our legal firm isn't responding to you, all right, then maybe we need to find a different legal firm.
I've
All
struggled
right.
with the communication
Yes.
with them, and I know I've spoken to you
Yep.
about, and I've spoken
Yep.
to Alicia about as well.
Yep.
I know that there's been some communication that have gone out from legal to some of these, the
Well, they
property
better
owners.
be letting you know this.
They have not. And I have a Dropbox that I have to put everything in. I've gone back and I've checked that, and nothing has been put in on their end. But I know one of the property owners has spoken to you, and I know they had to have received, something from the legal because it lit a fire.
Then I think, Alicia, what you need
I'll
to
touch
do
base
is
with Laura.
send Laura a email and say, listen,
Yeah,
you
where
know,
do we stand on these
yeah,
cases?
and he needs to be noticed as to what's going on. How can he do his job if there's a a void in the communication?
Yep,
All right, that should be a no-brainer, that if they're sending out letters in regards to things that he's working on, he should be receiving those, no ifs, ands, or buts. And anything that they haven't sent him, they need to update him,
will do.
And
okay?
again, I'm not sure where they would update it. I would assume that it would be in the same Dropbox that I'm putting information
Yep.
in. But again, it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Just-
But it should be, it
Yes.
should be, all right.
So, another one of the hot, or front burners is the 194, Gilman Road.
Yep.
And that where, I guess they have till the end of August, if I remember correctly, for a response from the.
Zoning board.
Yeah, from the zoning board. So we're at a, standstill of that.
But stay on top of it.
Yes, yep, at least temporarily. So like I said, I know that's one that.
Well, they don't intend to change. I mean, they made a public
Right,
comment,
that's been-
they've had a public meeting that they've been running it there since 2017, so what's the problem? And it was illegal then, it's illegal now.
Yep, so on the 292 Durham Mountain Road, that they're making significant progress, which is, amazing. And the 43 Rogers Road, they've cleared out, all sorts of stuff, so that was great to see as well.
Good. That's it.
So you got it, right?
Yep, I think so.
All right,
Awesome.
excellent, thank you.
Appreciate
Mark.
it, no problem, because I know you have a meeting.
Yep.
Good luck.
No, this is the Guardian Management, they're meeting me at 10:27, because there was speculation that demolition materials were buried there coming from an abutter, and they're gonna be there and they're gonna dig a hole to make sure, and again, it's been a great response from Guardian Management,
No.
on this
Yeah.
one, but yeah, it's been a really tough, response on the 15 Johnson Street.
Okay.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Could very well be.
Well,
Yep.
if you meet somebody from Guardian up there today, they might put a bug in their ear, say, this, we'd like to continue a great working relationship. Probably a
Yes.
different case manager, but maybe you know somebody in the office.
Yep, because I've already talked to the representative for 1027 and, kind of asking questions and planting seeds, and I was like, this has been a great response. I'm really not sure why we're struggling
Not getting
so
the
bad at
same.
15 Johnson, and I'm trying to backdoor,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
coming in.
Good, awesome, thank you.
Again, thank you.
All right. Back to new business, acceptance of updated 2022 emergency operation plans.
I'll have Mike.
Oh,
That.
oh, God.
You don't have to read it right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm just putting it up here so you can see it. We're required by state to have our emergency operations plan updated every so many years.
Yeah, I was gonna
This
say,
is the
didn't we
year
go through this once before?
we did the HMP, the hazardous mitigation plan.
Okay. I
So
know
we're
we
required to
looked
do both of them. One of them, obviously, hazard mitigation is how we take care of the problem after it exists. This is how we respond to it.
at- Okay,
We spent months on it, we got it finished up, so we're just having it accepted because both the HMP and the emergency operation plan are required for grants. If we don't have them, then we don't get grant processing through them. So, in there is just basically anything, how we respond to an incident, a large base scale incident, be it a flood, act of violence, or anything for that matter. It's how we as management here run the scene. So who's in charge, who we contact, how it runs. That's how it's done.
Okay,
So
awesome. All right,
it's just an update from our previous one in 2015. It's just updating things like names, numbers, and obviously now we have different incidences that we may have, so.
all right. Would someone like to make that motion?
There is a motion on your suggested motions, and then I have signatures as
Alright.
well.
Let's see. I'll make a motion to accept the Town of Belmont 2022 Emergency Operations Plan as presented.
Thank you.
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then there's something that we have to, oh,
Yep, there's
Already
3
signed it.
signatures, and then those will go into the final book and then redistributed.
okay.
Greg just said to me, just so you know, this is like a 4-month project. All department heads as well as Alicia is involved in this. This is really time
Oh, so
intensive.
this is like for the whole town of Belmont?
Correct, it's not us.
necessarily just fire?
No, that's every,
Okay, that's
every department,
everything.
every
Every
department head,
department.
including
involved.
yourselves, have to get a copy of this, so you
Yeah.
understand how it works. It's not just us, it's for the entire town of
Town,
Belmont. Yep,
all right, okay.
The school board also attended,
Yep.
not the school board, Mike Tercey
Tercey,
attended
okay.
some of the meetings, myself, the department heads, we all kind of followed along with the painstaking process of reviewing it and making changes and suggestions and,
Yeah, it started back in 2019-ish, we were looking into it, because we were gonna do it, and obviously the COVID hit, and that changed a lot of the timeframes. So that's why it's where it is today.
Okay, awesome.
But that, yes, it is for the entire community. I believe it's 7 years, 5 years. By the end of the 7th year, we're supposed to have it done.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Why don't we skip down and take this building next?
I'm sorry, what?
Why don't we go to, since he's right here now, let's do the fire department roof talk. Skip.
Oh, all right, okay.
See for a minute.
We're skipping around this morning. We have quotes for the roof, the,
garage. and
Garage,
outbuilding
yes.
Garage and shed,
replacement.
both,
Yep,
right?
yes.
Mike, this is for both those little white buildings, the garage and,
Nope, not the side building. The smaller building is the Boy Scouts. We don't have any ownership of that at all. All we have is a small garage.
and this also is gonna do the trim work around the doors. and
Around the
stuff.
doors and the trim around the bottom of the roof. Yep. And they're gonna do it in AZAC, so we shouldn't have that problem again.
There's quite a variation between these bids, huh?
I know. I was surprised too. That's why I made sure I gave you all the bids that I received.
yes.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept a bid from Paramount Roofing and Remodeling in the amount of $6,700 to repair the roof of the fire department garage outbuilding with fundings to come from the municipal facilities line.
And I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
You're
And just so you know, when we were looking at doing this before, we actually had a budget line of 15,000 because prices have gotten so crazy.
Yeah,
So this actually has dropped significantly from that point to
yes,
this.
yes, awesome.
Thank you.
Good.
Good.
Thank you.
You just missed a spot, right there.
Right here.
Oh, not the side. Oh, all right,
Here, there,
there you go. Okay.
Miss Boss.
I'm just, okay, H.L. Turner Group. We have a quote from our architects.
Yes, Doug Proctor sent over a quote for the services for them to do the design schematic of he has it wrong in here. Oh, no, sorry, the first, second, and third floor. Again, they know that we have limited funds this year and probably next year, so his quote, or his scope of services isn't as large as it would, typically is, so they have given us a quote for their services to do the schematic designs, so that can be then given to BPS to give us, quotes on what it's actually gonna cost us to rehab everything. So their total is $18,400.
Well, that also includes a schematic for the bidding and the budget assistance
Correct.
also, which is
Yep.
huge. So, gentlemen,
I think we should do it.
I mean, obviously, they were awesome. They were awesome to work with on the mill. I mean, it's, and thankfully, you know, they know we have budget restraints. Would someone like to make that
I'll
motion?
make the motion that we accept the plan from H.L. Turner Group for the design and schematics of the office designs of floors 1, 2, and 3 of the mill for the sum of $18,400.
Would you like to second that, Sonny?
I will second it, yes.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now we need to appoint Alicia as a voting delegate to the New Hampshire Municipal Association Legislative Policy Forum. That is this information that we have here. And-
Yes, I provided you all a copy just for some reading literature that has the draft on it. Jean in the past was our voting delegate. These are the legislative policies and positions that come forward, and NHMA represents the towns and municipalities as a whole, and they just give us this background and, you know, whether we should be for it or against it and how it benefits the taxpayers.
Is this and this is what's coming up for the 23-24 is what
Correct.
I'm seeing.
Yeah, and
So
then-
do they notify, do you get notification when certain things are coming up?
Yes.
Okay. All
So
right.
all the towns will be invited. I think it's in September 23rd is the meeting. We all go down and we vote, you know, in favor for the town, yay or nay, and
Because obviously some of the things I'm kind of breezed over it, and I'm looking at the authority of municipalities to regulate or limit the use of firearms on municipal property and to regulate the carrying of firearms by municipal employees while on duty. Yeah, there's some interesting things that are probably going to be coming forward. Do you receive that information, Mark? Are you aware when this stuff is coming forward?
Not so much through the municipal association
All right.
as I did from Brian.
But you, from Primax, all right, but you do receive this, all right, it was just kinda, that's the first thing that kinda stuck out. You know who I'm thinking of, but anyways, all right, so we need,
I'm making a motion to
Okay.
appoint Ms. Gibson as the voting delegate from Belmont to the NHMA Legislative Policy Forum.
I'll second it.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Under new business, we have a special one-time highway payment, Senate Bill 401 update only.
yes, this is an update only. We will be formally accepting these funds at a public hearing. I'm waiting for the bridge funds to come in before we do that, just because we do have to notice it in the newspaper. So once both those funds come in, I'll notice it all at one time. We did receive this letter, and I think I did add it in there, from the state of New Hampshire, that Belmont received a one-time highway payment in accordance with Senate Bill 401, as you stated, payment for maintenance, construction, and reconstruction of highways. We were awarded $165,767.44. They have also projected that we will receive $125,888 to go towards municipal bridges.
Now, there is not a, because I think when we first heard about this, we thought it had to be used ASAP, correct?
Correct.
But there is not a
There is
date
not.
at this point, date certain, that we
Nope.
have to use this.
And we'll
fund.
just accept it in as unanticipated revenue.
And then just
it
wait
away.
for Craig to come before us to tell us what he wants to.
Well, my interpretation was, in the letter that we got, we had to use the funds from not the bridge funds, but the other funds by June 2023.
June 2023, that's in the spring. Okay. All right. We probably should try to confirm that, because obviously that could affect
Yeah, I
how.
don't wanna lose the funds.
Right, oh, well, no, we don't,
If we have to use them,
yeah,
you know, it's hard in the springtime to coordinate and before
Right.
June, because if we want to get some paving done.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm gonna suggest that if we do get these funds, we do something sooner than later.
okay, all right. Okay, if we can get that confirmed,
Yes.
all right, I think that's important, okay. All right, Old business, we've already done, Mark, do we have any other old business?
Yes. So I had updated you that we were kind of waiting out the oil contract. Catherine and I touched base with Tara over at Irving, and the rate did come down to $3.853. We can hem and haw and wait and go back and wait and go back, and we decided, I spoke with Ruth, and we just decided to lock in at the 3.853, as it's not like it's gonna go down $1 or $2 or more significantly to really impact
Propane or oil?
That's
Oil.
That's
oil.
You know.
And the contract length was longer than they had given us earlier in the season. It was only 8 months in the beginning, now it's a full year.
And the problem is, I don't know, and everything I've read, they say it's gonna go up here pretty soon. It's a crapshoot, you know, you save 5 cents now or not. That was kind of a, you know.
They've already put a notice out that New England states need to be filling up all of their tanks because there's probably gonna be a shortage.
Oh, really?
So that's gonna raise the price considerably. So-
Yeah. I guess better that we know, lock it in and we know where we're gonna be with it for the year than,
Right, and we're
try
in
to,
budget
try to
season.
play the
We
game.
gotta do the budget for the,
Right, and plus we've gotta do the budget, and to try to play the game to save 5 cents a gallon, it just is, it got to the point where we felt it
We
was.
did it with the propane, why wouldn't we do it with
That's
oil?
exactly right.
And we did wait. I mean, it was over $4 when we first started in the beginning of the season, and so it came down. But
Yeah, Patrick? Yeah.
Is that with Irving, with the oil?
Yes.
Just to be aware of it, last year was a nightmare as far as deliveries. I was on the phone with them every week trying to get deliveries to this building.
Yeah,
One point, it was so bad that they brought down 5-gallon cans
yeah,
to put in the oil tank.
yeah.
So,
It's,
and it wasn't much better with the propane, was it? Yeah, propane was a little better, but still, we had to be, not much, we had to be on. And, you know, it was a constant checking of the level of all the tanks, getting on the phones.
it's interesting that you said that because, we have propane at the house just for the generator and the stove and dryer. And, what's the company in Concord? I'm trying to think. Rhymes. And out of the blue, because they just come usually twice a year, because we have a big tank in the ground, and out of the blue, they show up. And the guy said, oh no, we're just coming because we don't know, we're so short on drivers, we don't know when we'll get back in this, you know, and I'm going, okay, fill it up, whatever, you know.
There was a service
Yeah.
problem with them
Oh,
last year.
yeah,
oh,
yeah, well,
And it was a supply problem.
and it was,
Because I know I've got
exactly.
quite a bit of propane on the books.
was it a supply? Yeah,
Polish was $3.39 a couple of weeks ago
Yeah.
for the propane.
yeah.
I didn't think it was that bad.
I like it better at $2.76.
I locked my propane at 409.
Yeah, I got 2 million gallons sold.
That's a little bit different.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know about that.
all right. So, I mean, it is what it is. Now, at least we know how the budget, how we deal with budget. All right, okay. Do you have any other old business?
Danielle, do you want to
Oh, sorry.
update or?
If you want an update on my meeting.
Yes, yes, Ron, we needed, Danielle, one second. Ron's gonna update us on the library meeting, correct?
Right.
All right,
So I met with the ladies and explaining what the situation was and what I explained to you about, you know, not adding on to that and building a new one. So I also, since then, I've got the price. Probably you could put the building up with foundation, slab, 12-foot walls, so that you could have a hung ceiling and run all the mechanical stuff above the ceiling, have that 2-foot space and stuff. Probably between $150,000 and $175,000. So that would, that's not finished, but then, you know, the finishing, they could raise some funds, but they seem to be, and I told them last year that they gotta get a game plan, what they need, you know, and how they're gonna use them and all that stuff. And that, so the balls in that court, they seem to be a little bit,
hesitant.
well, don't quite understand. So if they think that they wanna get it in the the budget process for next year, then they're gonna have to get that done.
I know the few people that have brought it, that I've spoken with and kind of have brought it up, want the addition. You know, well, it's gonna be a lot of money, but,
It would be nice, but I told them it was gonna cost them at least 40% of their budget on the building, just to match what's there. So, you could get.
but do they match it, Ron? I mean, I think there's other libraries that have put I'll say older libraries that have put additions on it. They don't necessarily have to be matched, so,
That's a historical building,
yeah,
so, to me, it'd be a crime to do anything to that building because.
oh, no, you don't, no, I understand that.
What it is, but, you know, I talked to about, we talked about Canterbury.
Yeah.
What they did is.
They totally separated.
Just abandoned the other
They did.
building. I don't know what they use it for, but.
I'm not sure they use it for
These
anything.
old buildings, it would take so much to upgrade them and all the other stuff, that it would be different if that was a big building like in Laconia, they got a big library. But
Yeah.
it's such a small building, to try to add on to it, you have to double the size of what's there now.
Yeah,
And I don't know how how you blend it in, but,
yeah.
and have to get architect, engineers and all the.
That's already been done.
Haven't that,
When
wasn't
David
that,
Morse was here, he was big in the library. He also every year we put $100,000 aside all the time he was for 1 or 2 terms. He put that money into their
budget.
fund for the building, for that building. And there's a set of plans somewhere, because we paid an architect to do them all, lay it all out.
What's his name from, that did this building, in Meredith, I think that's who they used for, architect,
They should be looking those up then, and take,
Well,
just an element.
they have them, but like I said, if they wanna get a library built this decade, in my opinion, because it's gonna take so much money to do that. Otherwise, they use.
What happens to the Duffy Fund if they add on to that building?
Well, I got, Dave Karen looking into he's,
Good man.
doing, he takes care of all that financial stuff, so he was gonna look into, I haven't got back from him yet, but, cause he's trustee of the trust fund,
yeah,
and so, it's the ball's in their court, so to speak, but I don't know what they're gonna do about it, what the arrangement would be, and it'd be up to you folks if you wanna put it, where I said, those are the 2 spots, but.
I think we should, if that be the case, and that's gonna be our intent as a board, I would recommend we talk to Sarah, because there's some restrictions on the land. Because it was part of some kind of Indian grant or something, and it could have a park, but it couldn't be used. We ran into it when we were building the police station, when we first started laying out plans, and you picked
oh, you
up
mean
stuff.
over behind,
Over
but it
there,
was
where
my
he's thinking of moving it. They're
But
putting-
I thought that because, I thought that we swapped land, to do this area down here, we swapped it so that we can't do anything over there.
That may be it, but I know there's an issue with that land, so somehow we gotta
Figure that out, too.
talk to Sarah about it, have her look it up. Jean would be an easy speak, because she
Right.
did that.
Right.
The other concern I had, I was over at Winnisquam yesterday, checking out, looking at the fireboat stuff. And Winnisquam Marine, they don't have any land for parking, basically. So they're parking on the side of the banking.
Yeah, along that, yeah,
And then all the way along that. And I had concerns that if the fire department had to go there for emergency, there's no room for the equipment. So I think we need to designate, because the last two, well, that wasn't even on the pavement, they were parking on the grass towards the dock, and one of the vehicles wasn't even registered, it was a Cadillac out of Manhattan, it was on the plane. But anyway, we need those last few, in my opinion, those last few spaces are gonna have to be designated as fire access only. I don't know what you do when you go over there now, but it's just a little narrow spot to get down there. If you park your ambulance there, or your equipment that you're gonna respond with, those people couldn't even move their vehicles.
That's their problem. You know, if they choose to park there, we're gonna get in, we have an access point, they can't leave. I mean, I think that's the problem. We can, the marina is very receptive to us, so if we say we'd like them to make an area there, the problem is who polices that? You know, they're so busy, I don't know if we can keep people in and out. You know, hard enough time people off one side of the dock.
Well, you think if they could read the sign, it would be.
Oh, Ron.
I agree. I find it's very difficult, and parking's a premium down there, and people just park where they want. And we've been down with the mariners, really worked hard to try to make sure that doesn't happen, but it does. And I short of putting a wall up there, which will, you know, I don't think we're gonna be able to stop that. I just, people don't, the sign can say, we're gonna tow your car, I mean, Mark will attest to this, and they don't care, they'll park anyway, they park and leave, you know.
Well,
And then they'll call us when it gets sold, then call over here, and they'll be upset about it, so.
well, all of that land, they don't own, they don't own any of it, that's all either town or state property.
Right, that's where the boat's state property, so.
Right, I mean, that whole, you know, they, right to the pavement in front of their stuff, that whole section all the way up to, Winnisquam Way is all either town or state property, so. I mean, they're gonna have to address parking, maybe they're gonna have to buy the old, inn that was there, that's about an acre, they could, you know, put parking in there. That's up, like you said, it's up to them, but at some point, you know, they're just getting bigger and bigger every year, so. I don't know. But anyway, if you just put the sign up, anybody, I don't know.
I doubt it will help, Ron. Heck, you know, look at the people that park in handicap parking spaces.
Well,
I
you know,
mean,
like I said, that car was from New York, so.
yeah, they don't care. It's cheaper to pay for a towing job, I guess, than it is to, I have no idea what they think.
I'm just thinking that if you had to get in there with the ambulance.
No. They'll push their way through. Don't they have crash bars? Oh, they don't, no.
The marina's pretty good though, I mean, if you have to, anything at the marina, they usually clear the loading dock side off for us. Like I said, they're super receptive.
Well, I know,
But if the traffic part of it, I mean, we'll have to.
It's the people.
Couple more weeks and they'll all be gone.
And I think you're gonna see, because the last couple weekends of the summer, and places even hopping with the weather being so nice.
Yeah.
Next weekend. Yeah. And next weekend will be the same, and the weekend after that will be the, you know, the final hurrah, and that's.
Then you'll have the leaf peepers for a weekend or so, and then we're all back to.
I'll speak to Ed though. Like I said, the Winnisquam Marine they've been excellent to work with for everything we've done, so if I wanna put some signs up, he'll put them up, he won't even, he won't even give us a second look.
That boat must fly though, that's, that big motor on the back of it.
It does good, I mean, it gets us to the lake, to wherever we need to go, you know, in a timely fashion, which was what we were looking for.
Yeah.
And we have had a few calls out there, so.
Good.
Awesome.
No vandalism,
What's that?
nobody's touching it, so
No,
it's good.
we had no problems with that.
Really respect it.
Okay.
That's all.
Park and Rec, or Old Town Day, or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's over.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the biggest update, is that summer camp officially ended last Friday, and Old Home Day is done, so now we are on to planning the fall yard sale and stuff for October 1st. And that is where we are at.
And I, for one, would say you did one hell of a good
Awesome.
job.
Thank
It
you.
was.
You pulled it off.
I mean, it's like the last minute, and to pull this together, girl, you did great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a lot of help and a lot of good suggestions, and I learned a lot for next year, so
Yeah.
be prepared, because we're ready to start doing themes and stuff for next year, so I'm gonna get something together for the next meeting as far as that goes, so we don't have to do it in 3 months of next year, and we can get everything all set early.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Don't go too far.
And great job.
Yes, great job. I know our fireworks are too bright, but hey,
I
they were
saw
great.
that. I did see
They
that.
were great. We
That's
loved
great.
them, and yeah.
It's great. I can sit on my front lawn and I see them all. It's perfect. That's great. It was good.
I just wanted Danielle to kind of update, and so everyone listening can also hear where we stand with the skate park. We did, on behalf of the skate park, put in a pre-application for them to get some funding. We had been notified last week by the state of us attending some training, or on those grants, and I had to kind of reach out to Danielle, because we kind of threw that also on her plate to head, and I'll let her update where the group stands with the skate park, and basically on our end, we're pulling back that pre-application on their behalf.
Yeah, so where that is that's, yeah, a lot of the summertime, they haven't gotten together really pretty much at all to do anything for the skate park. And they were in the position, the last time we had met, when we met with the state person, that they had to have the agreement through the school board, which would require it to go to town votes before they could even think about taking that property. The fire department property is just too much to develop, and then to worry about what do you do when the kids are pulling in the driveway and the fire department needs to get out of the driveway. You can put a sign up in the back that says, come up this road all you want. We know that
Oh, we
not
know the
everyone's
sign.
gonna
See
do.
another sign.
They're not gonna do it, so they're gonna use the fire department entrance. So we pretty much took that out, but in order to use the parcel of land, they need to go through the school and.
Actually, I've received a text this morning in regards to that, doing something to get it on the ballot, so.
And I also
actually-
believe they need to work on their nonprofit
They
status.
do, and that I'm actually going to contact Amanda for today, because they do have a fundraiser. Somebody offered to do a car show fundraiser for them, and I need to make sure that they have everything,
Yeah.
especially with it being towed into the town,
Yeah.
that they have the nonprofit status before they start taking in money before the town, so.
Yeah.
That is what I'm going to be, I just got the email this morning, and I'll call her
Well,
this afternoon.
And as I say, I just got a message as we're sitting here in regards to that.
Yep.
So they're obviously working on it.
Yep.
So we'll get back to that.
So that's where it is. I wouldn't anticipate they seeing anything until the next grant cycle comes through. I did do the education thing for it just to kind of sit and see how it worked. It really didn't go into too much of the stuff. But it's all learning, and we'll figure it out. And then there's another playground grant that we got information for, and I have a meeting for that on Wednesday to sit and talk to them and see how that goes. So
Awesome. Good.
that's
All
it.
right.
That's really it
Good.
now.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Our next meeting date.
I have one more old business, or one more new business. We did do the old. On Friday, our sales letters went out to everyone in town on the sales update for the
Oh,
revaluation.
yes.
As you
Yep.
all know, everyone
Yep.
probably got their letter. Colleen got the on
You got the phone calls?
phone calls.
Oh, they still
calling this morning too.
Yeah, did you? Yeah. I think it started off, what I saw on Facebook, it started off pretty rough. But then fortunately, as people explained and went into it a little bit more, I think, again, it's the education part of it. And again, people have to understand that, the town portion is probably gonna go down a little bit, but we don't know what the school's gonna do at this point. And so many people don't understand that we have no control over the school. That is we're no different than anybody else when it comes to the school, so.
And it's important that everyone reads the letter and calls KRT and schedules the hearings and the appeals accordingly. There's nothing that we at Town Hall can do.
I completely disagree.
Okay.
I think that this letter that went out, I disagree with our company, not with their evaluations really. I disagree with KRT's policy stating in the letter, they basically have 10 days because the letters, they just came out to go to an appeal. And on Friday, you couldn't call KRT. They took the phones right off the hook. They never rang, just busy signals all day.
They very well could have been busy too.
Yes, they could have been, because the front of the office was busy, because they go in to see this, first people they get to is the town clerk, tax collector. What are you gonna do about this? But any property owner wishing to have their new assessment reviewed with a representative KRT appraisal, which is what you gotta have done,
Yep.
may call that number, 1-855-228-4033, weekdays from August 18th through August 26th. That's not much of a leeway for people in this town, because some of these assessments, and if they don't understand that the fact that the rate's here and it's gotta drop. I mean, Aiden Circle will probably pay for half the town. I mean, every house up there is $500,000. So.
And some more.
We can
and
ask
some more.
KRT to extend maybe
I
a
think
week
we
or a
should.
half. The issue is being on our
Had
timeline.
I known this letter was gonna go out, I would've said that KRT should have had 2 people in the town, if we had to make room in the office to see them, because they did that several years ago.
We did that when we did the full revow.
That's right. Well, I gotta tell you, I think that's a very short notice for a number of people in this town.
And they have found that doing the phone calls works better for people because people can not have to take time out of work to physically come in person, that they can, maybe step out for a lunch break
But the first day they get the letters, you gotta have some people on the phone.
Right.
Well, I did see as the weekend went on that fortunately on Facebook, fortunately on Facebook, people explained the process and it definitely, a lot of people understood what was going on. And again, we were only at 60% reassessment, 60%,
The equalization.
thank you, yeah, thank you. And I think now this will put us about maybe at 95 or
Correct.
close to that. So we're really not even at 100% yet. So what that tells me is probably next year it has to be looked at again. But again, some of those may go down, some of them may go up, depending on sales. It's all based on sales within the town. We have no control over it.
Correct.
It's the sales, what sales has happened. Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi, it's Dennis Grimes.
Yes.
I wanted to just say a little comment about KRT appraisal, whatever. I disputed my taxes in 2019, and they said, okay, you're all set, we're gonna take care of it. Nothing happened, and they totally dropped the ball, forgot all about it. And I'm a little concerned about that company in general. I did a spreadsheet on properties where I am along the lake, and there are so many discrepancies in the way they've assessed properties. You take a lot, a quarter-acre lot on the lake, and it goes from 300,000 up to 700,000 for lakefront property, same size. How do you come up with what it's worth? And houses that are twice as big and all remodeled are worth less than mine, which is a piece of trash that I'm gonna tear down. So I think as a town selectman, you need to find out what their criteria is that they're using to base these prices on, because it's bogus, totally. Many of those houses, that house that's down on Sunset, it says it's worth 200,000 more than my house. It's a cottage that was added on. How can a house that's like $1 million be only worth 200,000 more than mine? It's ridiculous. So as a selectman, I will put on Facebook if I don't see some updates on it, because like everybody else, I'm not gonna overpay taxes for something that's not worth that money. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people that will feel the same way, and other people getting away with paying nothing.
And those are the guys that ain't gonna make any phone call.
Huh?
The guy that's getting under-assessed, he ain't gonna make a phone
Oh,
call.
of course not, but I mean, I've said to you, John, there's people out there on the lake that are doing illegal work to their houses, and they look brand new inside, and they don't bother pulling a permit. And, all of a sudden I look at that house and say, that house is brand new inside, and it's being taxed a lot less than mine. And mine has like 1960s interior and everything, and structurally it's not very good. So I think as a selectman, you need to really ask them, what's your criteria for figuring these rates out?
And KRT can't assess on something they don't know. If someone isn't pulling a building permit, that KRT doesn't know that. The only time they sometimes can pick up if a remodel has been done that we aren't aware of is during the sales. If, we catch it on the MLS, we'll put that in there.
But what about houses that, didn't pull a permit or did pull a permit, but are they basing some of it on photos and the tax cards? Is that, they don't do a drive-by and look at these houses?
Well, I think they did with full assessment. I believe full assessment they did, didn't they?
They do for the full assessment. They physically visit every property. If someone's there and wants to let them in, great. There's no statute that says they have to absolutely be let in or go into every property. Same with when they check the building permits if it's been a reno.
If they come to my house and let's just say they come to my house and I redid some things inside that I didn't pull a permit, I'm not gonna let the guy in. No.
Yeah, I know.
Same as, and I'm sure a lot of people out there do that.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
no problem when it comes to
yeah,
taxes.
see, it happens every day.
Oh, I know, and I
Everywhere.
don't know how you get around it, but I know that, I see it probably, 150 times, 200% more along the lake. I see people just doing stuff
Yeah.
here.
We just had a man that went into the town to see Alicia, and I guess when he left, he took my business card, because he called me, and he bought a piece of property on the lake, big piece of property, and it was assessed at $300,000. He paid $1 million. And that's his new assessment's $1 million. What,
Now he's
what do you want me
mad,
to tell you?
and now he's mad. 'cause-
Now he's mad.
Now he's mad.
You know what? That's what it's worth.
Yeah, well, of course.
Well, it must be, he paid it.
There's a house, and I won't say which one it is, but it's sold for, it hasn't closed until, a couple weeks. We're guessing it's already sold for $1.5 million.
Sure.
And it's assessed less than mine. It was
Right.
totally rebuilt into, when they had a flood, they rebuilt it totally.
Yeah.
You can look at it, the tax card though shows a crappy old house from the
Sure,
1960s.
sure.
So maybe, we have to
Because
update
they
the
pulled no permit or anything to redo whatever happened to the house, so these guys aren't gonna go out and, they don't know that it
No,
flooded,
I understand, but, they did a assessment, you drive by, look at each house.
Yeah.
But one house I'm thinking of, if you look at the tax card, the photo on it shows 1970 picture. You look at it now, and it's like
The photos should be updated more recently than that. I don't think there's any photos on there from the 70s.
Well, whenever it was taken, I can tell you it was a long time ago, very long time.
So if that sale hasn't happened, that won't be until the 23s pick up, and
they'll pick that one up in
they'll
23.
probably most likely look out to the market and look at the MLS and pick up that, but they'll base it off the sale price for the assessment.
The house has been, the whole exterior has been redone since 2019, okay? And maybe in like 2017, they put in a whole brand new retaining wall, lawns and everything, but the picture doesn't represent that on the tax card. And so I'm just saying, you need to update your pictures more often. And is that what the tax appraisal people use? Do they look at the pictures?
They don't just look at the picture that's in the system. They either visit the property,
The ones that
use
are doing
MLS, the ones that they're
The ones
doing.
they're doing now, are they visiting the property?
They did visit some. I know they did visit some of the lakefront properties because of the sales were so high. So they did do a site visit to some of those. I think they did, what's the one across on 103? Is that Sun Lake or Sunset? And they did some of the mobile homes as well, because those are astronomically high too. So they did do some site visits this time. The point of the sales update is taking the sales, not doing a full reval, which we will do the full reval in 24, and then they will physically visit all of those.
I received a lot of messages from people from Briarcrest, because some of Briarcrest is in Belmont, some of it's in Laconia, because obviously some of those people got, and I mean, when we built Briarcrest and I sold them, some of those sales between Laconia and Belmont, they've tripled. Now, this is a manufactured home community,
Yeah.
and they've tripled in value, but it's because of what?
The market is.
The market. I mean, they put a for sale sign, it's gone.
Yeah.
And it's like double, tripled what we originally sold them brand new. And that's with the garages and the Four Season rooms and everything, and they're tripling. I mean, it's just,
Yeah, I know, I guess, it just bothers me.
it gets
when-
discouraging. It does,
and,
I understand.
Especially that, and I know the inspection, Russ and those guys, they
Yeah.
can't, these people do whatever they darn well please.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it affects the people that do follow the law,
Bingo.
you know?
Technically, I think when you do a remodel, when you do your kitchen or anything, you're supposed to have a building permit that is visible from the street.
Supposed to.
Am I correct in saying that if you notice that, make a phone call to town hall, say, I don't see a permit, these guys are doing this. That's really the only way we're gonna.
Sure, there's supposed to be a permit in the window or
This
something.
permit
Because they
is
found out
visible
it
from the street. What's that?
I got chastised really bad by a neighbor because he was basically putting in so much money into this place and and he was a real a-hole anyways, but, now it's just like, I'm Mr. Bad Guy, but I'm following the law, pulling the building permits.
And I
But
will
we don't know
say,
how that works. Just because you're following doesn't mean everybody
I
else is
know,
gonna
but-
do
but
it. I
it's,
know.
When
Yeah.
his house is worth, he's paying less taxes than me, and the house is twice his size and is beautiful. I think that maybe, take that, marine boat and drive around the lake and start taking pictures.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go. We'll send the fire department out to start taking pictures.
Take pictures, because, you know, you don't see all the stuff unless you drive along the lake.
Right, and the roadside, some of the houses look very small because they only are, you see the roadside, but then you go onto the other side and they're 2-3 stories down and beautiful and gorgeous and.
The base is supposed to be square footage, though, isn't that kind of like where it starts? I've had assessors come through, and I let them in, but I'll say, well, I don't have granite countertops. We don't care about that.
I mean, there's a
Stuff like that, I don't care
factor,
about
there's
that.
a factor whether you have, I think it's what, good, average,
It's all about
and
square footage.
poor
It's
or
also
excellent. I mean, they work so great on that, and I mean, it does matter, but.
Well, anyways, I didn't want to get down
That's all
too
right.
deep,
No.
but I just think that we as a town need to maybe look at it a little more detailed to try to even the playing field, you know, between houses, and if it means taking a boat around, you know, and riding around the lake and saying, hey, you know, here's a picture that's on MLS from, you know, 5 years ago, and where did that where did that deck, where did all that stuff come from? There's no building permit. Well, what can you do if you see that? Can you?
Well, you know something, it's not even so much a building permit. If people are doing, if they're on the lake and they're doing, walls and whatever, I mean, that doesn't,
King wants to be the state.
right, that, they probably haven't even gone to the state to get those types of things, so they don't want to let anybody in or
Right, but it
near or
affects the
whatever.
people,
Oh,
like
of
I
course.
said.
Oh, I know.
And I guess the town doesn't have the teeth to go and work with the state or anything, like you can't, if somebody's doing something that requires a DES permit, and you notice it, well,
Just report it to DES, because we get those notices all the time that, oh, so-and-so sent a letter saying that you're illegally doing this. They look into it, and then they report back to us and the homeowner whether they're in compliance or not. So we do get notified from the DES, and all it takes is a simple,
I mean, yeah, are we gonna get everyone?
Well, the question
No, but
boils down to money equals money. So do you want us to hire a full-time assessor at about $100,000 a year in a car? And the secretary, because they're gonna be out in the road, and if you started doing a full town assessment, that one person isn't gonna be able to do it all. So then you still hire a company, and there aren't many companies, I'm not really in favor of this KIT company, but when Gene shopped for these companies, there's only like 3 in New England.
yeah, I can imagine there's, you
That
know,
do this.
limited supply.
Yep,
But you have to be licensed, you have to meet a certain criteria, you have to have a certain education level
Yeah.
to do these.
right, and they have their requirements that are dictated by the state as well. And I would encourage you 100% to call the number on the letter and those questions that you have for
Oh, I
us.
will. I've
100% ask KRT and ask them to supply, you know, the sales that they use. They have all the backup to justify their increases. So I would just ask, say,
Yeah, I
and
plan.
and hopefully they have great answers for you, and you can report back to myself, and I can report back to the board, and
Yeah. Okay, I didn't want to, you know, rattle on.
Well, that's all right. We appreciate the information because obviously it's important that people understand, all right, that, you know, and why is this happening? Because we had to do this because we were only at 60%. We needed to up because any town around us is 100% assessed. We had gone down to 60% assessment. We needed to up that. And why? Because we've just had so much going on in this town in the last few years. I mean, it's crazy. Well, ask Russ.
I'm just a paper pusher right now, because I'm so busy just in the office doing, applications. I just don't have the time to go around town and do my soul search of who's doing things illegally.
Hire somebody to go out there with the.
Well, and here we go.
you wanna donate the money?
And here we go again.
Donate the money.
You know, it's.
Don't have the money, don't have the people.
Yeah, I just look at it, sometimes you spend a little to get more on the other end.
But once you get them in, they're in. I mean, they don't,
Oh.
people cost money.
Do it as a contract, where they're on a contract and not.
I'll go to McDonald's and hire 10 people today.
Yes, Ron.
She tried.
So,
Anyways,
so the criteria they're using is they're just going to everybody raise the assessment and then 40% to bring us up? Is that what they're doing?
No, because I noticed that I got a couple letters on, vacant land that I have. It went up a little bit, okay? But I didn't receive any on my property, but I know I got
So
well
what-
reassessed.
So what are they using for criteria to send these letters out? They look at the assessment of what you're assessed at, like, I was assessed at like 260, and now I'm at 410. My neighbor called me, and was all upset because, she just redid her home mortgage,
Yeah.
and the assessment came in like $10,000-15,000 more on the letter than what she just had it assessed at. So she was pretty wild about that, but, so I just gotta figure out, what are they using for criteria?
I would assume it would be a home similar. Assume. I mean, I'm not an
And again,
appraisal
this is-
person.
I know that, so.
And this
so
is
what-
a
so
sales
what are they
update, not
using?
an,
A sales
not a
update,
vote,
right.
though.
A sales update, right.
Sales, but if there hasn't been any sales in that neighborhood, you know, you're right, criteria has to go into, you use sales, but you have to use criteria about the house. Is it got 2,000 square feet versus 1,000 square feet? Is it got larger
But
lot?
they're not going out and look at them, they're just looking at the tax card and saying, oh, not knowing if there's, like you were talking about, anything that's been redone or so on and so forth. And then
Bump it up to percent.
they're taking a number, and so they're gonna use a formula. What's the percentage? We know we're at 60% low, so they're using that 40% formula, or what's sailed in the neighborhood. And I think that's something that probably, it wouldn't hurt for the town to have a news release or something in the paper describing this, because there are people all over the place that just don't know what the heck is going on, and it's creating a lot of anxiety to a lot of people, because all of a sudden they think that they're gonna be paying on, like my new assessment, I'm gonna be paying the $26 or $28 $1,000 automatically, so it has to be explained to them that, and it says in the letter, don't use this as what your tax rate is gonna be.
Right, because, yeah.
Even though it's in bold, people just look at that bottom and they just freak out.
They just look at the assessment, right, they're not
So
reading the
I
letter.
think something has to be put out there, because the phones are gonna be ringing off the hook here at the
Oh, they
time.
have been.
And because they don't, and I was explaining this to my neighbor, and she was so upset about it.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, you can't use that, because normally a third of the people's assessment go up, a third stays the same, a third, not assessment, but tax bill.
Mhm.
Go up, a third stays the same, and a third go down. So you could be on the go down or stay the same, but like you were talking about, the lakes area is gonna be getting heavy.
Well, and we know that we've had some, I think there's been, what, 2 or 3,
It's been a few on the
yeah,
list.
that have sold on the lake for over $1 million.
And in Belmont, who ever heard of that, right?
I know.
Well, Aiden Circle, they couldn't build a house on, they built the roads, they built it, it's off Brown Hill Road. Well, it's a rural setting, the lots are, there's no view, they're just lots.
Some of them
And
are
the
down
first
in
guy
a
that built
hole.
it, and he put a tremendous amount of money in the drainage and the roads, he did it right, and he only got a couple houses built, and the economy went to shit. A year and a half ago, a guy bought it, and every house, if you know, they sent us a list as a selectman, and we got every property in town on it, and those houses, 500, 600, 500, 600, 500, 600, and then you look, if there's a bare lot, it's 43,000.
The bare lots,
So
yeah.
that's what the assessment
So
was on
it
that lot.
shows-
That's
Well, that'd be a lot.
Yeah.
You guys asking almost 100,000 for one lot up there.
yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
is it really? Really?
But the town, you know, I think you're gonna have to have some article in the paper or something, because people are just. they don't know what
KRT
to
has
do.
sent us some literature to further explain. It was explained in the newsletter a little bit, touched upon, you know, that it was coming and why. KRT has also sent me 2 more articles that I can publish and put on the website. And the other thing to consider too, will be here again next year. So if sales tank and as people, or if they start to decline, then the values may decline to go along with the sales that occur next year. Granted, we're in the 8th month and the sales have already been high for so far now.
I mean,
Will they
people
go
are
down?
listing their house on Friday and it's under contract on Tuesday at more than what they had it listed for.
I understand.
It's
So,
crazy.
we reval every, 4 or 5 years.
5.
Yeah, every 5 years, so this is
So
spy,
when-
kind of.
When are we set to start putting money in the budget? You know, because we don't fund it all in one school.
No, we put it in every year, we put some money in for the reval, but last year there was a article that everyone voted on to do this year.
And next year.
And next year, right? And I, personally, if we had, what was happening, we as a town, we were losing out with all this new
We got behind.
construction.
We got 5 years. Of
We had to use the value that was set in, when was the last, 2007?
You would have picked up the
19.
new building permits and those new values, like we eventually would have picked up.
But
like,
you
the
still
new
would have
base-
had to use the old rate.
Right.
And that's what we were trying to bring up to par, so that, so you don't get those big swings once every 5 years, but it just so happens, this is just so unusual times, we got it in the middle, thinking that it was only gonna be a small.
So to catch the people that this gentleman was talking about.
Right.
That have done all this remodeling and stuff, when we do that, then a person goes out to every piece of property and goes through and checks and see what they have.
If they're allowed.
If they got a follow it. Well,
yes.
if not, then they just assume and you get the maximum by
Yeah.
doing that. But
Yeah.
people think that they're gaining and they're not really, but.
Yeah,
What's your point about going out and the people that won't let you in?
Right, if they don't let you in, then usually the assessor assumes
The best.
They've done a
most
lot.
of what's in there.
Right.
Like they've
they've done a lot of stuff in there they shouldn't have, that's what they
Well,
assume.
that's the reason why they're not letting them in, but people think they're saving money by doing that, and they're not, really.
Actually, I saved money by letting them in, because they had, some of my stuff was wrong in the house, so.
Well, let me ask you this then, if, to his point there, somebody does all this work, doesn't allow them in, and you say, okay, well, I'm gonna assume that you've done a lot of work, and I'm gonna bump it up based on, is that legal where the town can do that?
Yeah.
Well, the KIT does it.
KIT
We don't.
does it.
Yeah, we
They,
don't, yeah.
the assessor.
This is if there's a building permit, so, like, even last year, I think we had over 200 building permits. So all those building permits that come in, we save them in a stack and they go right to KRT, and KR physically picks them up and physically goes to every address of every building permit and assesses and picks them up. Let's say it's a remodel. You don't let them in or they're not home, they're gonna assume that it's done and complete, and typically on the building permits, it'll say, you know, how much they're gonna put into the project. So they have to estimate. I mean, there's no other
They
way.
add it on and stuff when they go out. I mean, like I said, you got your card, it's got the size of the house, you got the
Exactly.
square footage.
Exactly.
All of a sudden now, if there's a bedroom been added on with no building, permit, that's when they're supposed to pick it up.
Exactly.
And then and if the people don't wanna let them in.
And then they have to take some assumption as to
Didn't we
what
have
they
a-
did there.
Didn't we have a deal where people did that years ago, and we had a little forgiveness program? I remember there was a stretch there, that we forgave the ones that didn't get a permit, gave them time to get a permit, because someone said they didn't realize we needed a permit. It was a deck or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they're there too, if they
But
see
that's what
something
the
else on the
problem is.
property, they will also pick it up. I've had them, you know, someone answer the door and they were looking for a shed and they noticed that the whole entire interior was either a basement apartment or a remodel, and, you know, they pick up those things too.
But to Ron's point, a road in town, I didn't mention this, I don't wanna pick on different roads, but a lot of homes went up. But there's a 2-story colonial right on the corner lot, beautiful lot, nice place, been there for years. I'll guarantee it was assessed for around 300,000. Everything across the street sold for 4, started at 4, went to 450, now at 5. So when they look at the guy across the street who's got a bigger lot, a nicer looking lot, in the same size house, what's gonna happen? He's gonna be assessed at 500,000, right?
Yep. Yeah.
But he hasn't got there yet because the people that are buying the new homes have set the precedent.
Yeah.
They call it the COVID boom, and this is what really, and it's not from here, just in Belmont. It's all the way to the Canadian border. They sold land up there that they couldn't give away. When COVID hit, there's nothing left.
Well, and I noticed on Facebook that there were some people in Northfield that the same thing happened. That evidently maybe Northfield's being reassessed, maybe it's their 5-year reassess, I'm not sure. But I noticed some people in Northfield on Facebook were complaining because theirs had doubled or whatever, so
It is what it is.
it is what it is, I understand.
But
It's
just to
crazy.
try to make it
Yeah.
more equitable
Yeah.
with everybody.
Yeah.
And try to find the ones that are doing
Yeah.
stuff that are getting away with it.
Yeah.
To me, and maybe that just takes a little, driving around a little.
Well, maybe not even so much driving around, but obviously, people are more than welcome to call the office and say, you know, I just got reassessed at whatever. I hope that next door or what, and they're not gonna give out names. They're not gonna, you know, that's private, all right? And if, you know.
I guess the
I
biggest
know.
thing is that I can't see how a house that has 1,800 square feet versus 1,100 square feet,
Yeah,
and, you know, 2 bathrooms and 4 or 5 bedrooms, and I got 1 bathroom,
Yeah.
2 bedrooms.
so they probably don't even know that maybe. I don't know.
Oh, it's in the tax card,
Oh,
but
is
he's
it?
paying less taxes
Yeah.
than me.
All right.
Well, you need to, when you have your meeting, pull their tax data, their neighbors,
Yep.
use that as a comparable. That's-
Oh, I did.
That's
I
what
pulled
you,
it all.
well, then you're gonna be all set.
Then you'll be all set.
Then you're
awesome.
gonna look at it.
But
All
then
right.
they're gonna ask you, how long has he owned that house? And then when did you buy yours?
Same time.
Really?
Within months of each other.
Yeah.
Because that's, I mean, Kevin said it best, nobody knows. I mean, last week, the end of the week, there was a mobile home advertised over in Lakeshore Park, which is a shit trailer park in Gilbert, but it's on the water, for $380,000. An old 10-foot wide mobile home with a little attic room for a porch, right? $380,000. We had a trailer right down here on 140, the trailer park. Sold for over $100,000, it's 20 years old. $100,000 to live there in a trailer park.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's,
Start on.
there's, you know, if you believe everything you hear, they are saying it's cooling off supposedly. It's leveling out, right? You know, there's, I'm sure there's pockets everywhere, who knows, but yeah, it's,
I don't think that this area, because of the lakes and everything, is gonna see a downward trend that.
as much as other places.
Because people wanna be here and they're willing to do anything.
I think you're right, Ron.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Well, we had a sale
And so-
on the
so-
lake for over $2 million. I mean,
It's location, and they'll pay anything.
I think it's, one conversation I had with someone that, Belmont's worth, we could be very well over $1 billion.
With the
Yeah.
lake,
Imagine in Belmont.
yeah,
Imagine.
with the lake property is skyrocketing.
Yeah. And we don't have a lot of lake property compared to surrounding towns,
Yeah, right.
you know, I mean, it's, but when you look at these developments and whether it be on, Levitt Road or Aiden Circle or whatever, and these houses are, you know, valued between $5 and some of those are over $600,000, you know, you take 2 of those together and you got a same value as one on the lake. I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy. And nothing's sitting around very long that I know of, but I'm sure there's some. No.
Anyways,
All right,
thank you.
all right, thank
Sorry.
you. That's okay, that's all right. Anything else?
I have nothing unless there's members of the audience that have.
Oh,
Yes, we do have a non-public.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
Where are we with the cameras for Sergeant Park?
Good question. I will call.
Yeah, we're getting towards the end of the season,
Mhm.
and we're gonna be closing that gate in another couple of months, because we close it for the winter.
Then they go over the top? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, they do. So, my recommendation is if we can, is to delay that because it's so late in the season, put it in the next spring.
okay.
You don't think there'll be a need for it during the fall and winter?
Yeah,
After you,
we usually by the end of October, beginning of November, when it starts to really get cold, that park goes dead. There's nothing, we'll have a few people, but we usually just close and lock the gate for the winter, and that stops all the vandalism. I'm just saying, we'll have a brand new system there, that's really not,
well, we already paid for, we'll have to see.
Yeah, the cameras are, gonna be in the poles and everything like that, and then the monitor will be at the police station, but we paid a deposit on that, right? And that was supposed to be, I think, installed in June,
July.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
We'll look into that.
I'm thinking either we pull the deposit back and tell them that we're gonna rebid it next spring, or we hold them to the contract to do this work in the springtime when we reopen up the park.
How would you guys like to proceed?
Either give them a choice, just what he just said. Either give the deposit back, and we'll rebid it in the spring, or
Or if they're gonna
hold the
hold
price the
their
same,
price,
hold
right.
that price, and
Yeah.
a letter from them of intent that they're gonna hold it, and then they will guarantee that price in the spring.
Because more than likely, if we don't get that confirmed, the price in the spring is gonna be more than what we've got now.
And we'll just bid it to,
Yeah.
I know the bid went out to, I believe, A&B, right? There's other companies that we can
Yeah.
bid it to in
Yeah.
comparison, if we elect to go that route.
Yep.
Okay, all right, we'll look into that.
I'm sure
Nothing.
I'm sure if we got the money back, we could use it in our budget here this
Yeah.
coming winter, so.
Yeah, I did ask, Colleen, wasn't I put on for today?
You're in a general speaking from the public. So before I got interrupted, the question I was going to say if there was any comments from the public that they could come now. So.
Yeah, well, the comment was twofold.
Okay.
One thing John and I talked about,
Old news, just an idea. We'd like to run by you.
this is,
Yeah, he's giving you his.
did you give one to John?
And Sonny was one that
We,
goes back 6
John and
years
I
ago
talked
almost,
about,
right?
at the planning board meeting about,
I can't read that.
trying to get the town offices, moved over to this building sooner than later, especially with the cost of electricity going up and heating costs for both buildings. And so that was just one thing that, it kind of makes sense to try to do it faster than later because of the cost of rising, and heating two buildings and everything, to me doesn't make sense. So I don't know where the town stands as far as getting that done sooner.
Well, that's what we just went over that. We're working on that as we speak, okay? That was our contract with, H.L. Turner, is for this building, all right? Some of that work has been done when we moved the general assistance over, so, and as far as the second and third floor, at this point is pretty minimal what we have to do. I think our biggest thing at this point is the heating system and obviously the electrical here. The existing town hall, our feeling at this point, it owes us nothing. We have a vault over there where our records are held, which has been there. And we have the capsule in the basement over there. We have good storage that we've made downstairs over the years, all right? And our feeling was, because obviously an engineer told us many years ago the roof was gonna cave in, we're still waiting. They put some blocking up, there's no issues. I believe we did replace the roof. And I almost think we did the furnace over there. That was one of the grants that we got 3-4 years ago, so we have a new heating system in there. And I think our plan was to put Park and Rec in the back of that building because it meets all of the handicap. We don't need an elevator, it's right there, it's got the ramping, the bathrooms and everything. Then maybe in the front portion, put a couple small meeting spots, for the Belmont baseball or the Boy Scouts or whatever.
Okay.
The nights.
Really just, bringing it up because I was looking at,
Anyone that I've talked with, surprisingly enough, because when we did the feasibility study, all right, it was told to us to either sell it, tear it down. I think that was the only two choices they gave to us at that point. And what?
Talking about this or something?
No, the town hall, existing town hall, the old town hall.
Yeah.
And what anybody that we've all talked with selling it isn't an option, all right? It will end up being a, apartment house with, you know, there's no parking, those types of things, okay? Or it becomes a tattoo parlor on the Main Street or that type of thing.
So,
Yeah.
it was just really more of just saying, you know, I was hearing John, you know, what he was saying about how the costs are rising for the
Yeah.
town, and looking at it, saying, well, maybe it's time to do it sooner than later. So that really.
Well, that's our game plan. We're trying
Okay,
to get
good.
into this building. The next biggest thing is the basement, which is where the tax collector's going. And they're going in that basement. That's recommended by the police department. It's for security, because that's where there's, I guess that's where the money is, all right? And from what we've been told, you want the money on ground level, because God forbid, at first we looked at putting them on the second floor, but let's just say somebody decides to come in and rob the place, they could cut off the elevator, they could cut off the stairwell, those types of things. So that's why it was chosen to put town hall on the basement, and then the rest of it, whatever. And we still have room for park and rec in this building, because obviously we'll have to move out of there and then eventually back over. That was kind of the game plan at this point.
So park and recs, you said, that was a discussion a couple meetings ago, you were talking about park and recs, and that's the first time I heard about you talking about using the old town hall.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a couple of years, but not, you know, we gotta be out of there first.
Right, right. So they're gonna stay here, but it wasn't a good fit having them in here with the kids coming in and out, where there's gonna be offices on
Right,
all
but
three
they're not gonna
floors.
be here for long, we hope.
And I guess it was something that was, goes back to 2016. I guess John was on the board at the time, when it was suggested to use the old post office building for parking recs, because obviously I was there as a kid, you could look from one end of the building to the other, it was open span. It's just got some petitions in there, could be taken back out. And there's a lot of people, like you say, want to use the old, but there's a lot of people who really like to use the old post office, so there's a movement going probably in both directions, and I think this one's getting quite a bit. So I just want to run it by you now, because there's a lot of people that really think that would be a much better fit, because they don't really like the idea of the kids having to park, where they're gonna park when they go to park and recs for activities on the town hall.
Right.
They're gonna walk across the street, you got a police station that comes out of the side street. It's just not user-friendly for children, so at least here, they come down Mill Street, like Old Home Day. It was great, it worked fine, so I just would like you to, you know, keep this idea going only, and not to wait till the last minute, because that's something.
Well, obviously, if we use the bank building, we have to put in an elevator. We've already been told that. To meet ADA regulations, we have no.
Paper I gave you there, that Steve Paper did years ago, so there's prices in there to do all this stuff.
Right, and we have to put in all handicap. There's no heating in that building at this point. The roof is, we've patched it a couple times just to keep it dry at this point. So there is, then the other issue, obviously, the police chief has left, is just the vandalism. I mean, we deal now with the gazebo, and I guess in my mind, if the library does an addition, we gotta think about all that, you know, you got that addition, you're using up this area, and I think our thought was, if you've ever been to a concert at the gazebo, okay, most people end up sitting on the bank, because that's the only place you can really see the concert. But when you sit on the bank, the afternoon sun, because it's usually good weather, is right here in your face. You end up having to put a cap down or whatever. And everybody's commented that you really need to be sitting over here where the bank building is. You need a something, bleach, whatever you do for seating, because that way is not conducive. It just doesn't work. So we've heard those complaints from people that have been to concerts. Now again, we haven't had concerts because, you know, obviously we've had nothing since COVID came in.
The structural part is one of the biggest questions with the old town hall, because to duplicate the space they have now over here, which isn't really enough, but I've been told, the parking lots. The room, you should use it.
Oh, yeah, it isn't enough, Kevin, but it's.
So what do you do about taking making that space in the old town hall. You have to rip out.
Yeah,
walls, right?
I was told that those are all,
They're blank walls, they're not structural.
yeah, they're
walls.
not structural walls, all right, they're
Not bearing walls.
not bearing walls,
Like
they're not
post
bearing
office.
walls. And
Post
so,
office.
and again, you know, we're thinking in our mind, you know, we may open the whole thing up and it all be park and rec, I have no idea, but we were thinking to have a space for the seniors, but for the,
Boy Scouts.
well, yeah, and the Legion, thank you, and the Legion, you know, to make an area, and we felt near the front, because again, you've got the ramping, you've got the handicap bathrooms, you've got the stuff already in place that we would have to build someplace else or make available someplace else. So that was kind of our, and I think the other issue is, I know some people say, yeah, but we paid, I can't see the price. We paid $250. Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I voted to buy that building, but I didn't vote for the $250 for the building because I bought it for the land. I bought it for Belmont Center.
Well, what you see in that picture is what we had kind of just walked around it the other day. And I just took a structural, took my architectural software and just did a quick rendering of what the building would look like with new windows, doors, and just, you know, a simple roof on it. And especially since it's a bank and a post office, it's like you said, it's open, the whole building is pretty much open. There's no structural or load-bearing walls all over the place. The outer walls and the load-bearing wall. And I was thinking, you know, you could take the top level there, the old bank level, and make that like a simple senior citizen center. That way they'd be at street level. Parks and Recs could be in the old post office building down below. Again, it's all open.
But don't forget, all those kids now have to cross Main Street to get to the park. And I don't know about anybody else on Main Street, but it's hard to control speed on the Main Street of Belmont, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, you know, that could be said right at the high school too. You know, people, I watched a guy go by there at 60 miles an hour, you know, not care. So, yeah, we have a problem with drivers.
And it doesn't matter wherever you are,
Yeah,
you're gonna have
yeah.
that issue.
But
Well, I think that our envision, all right, I think that if Linda Frowley was here, you would find that there was so much done to make this building visible and make, you know, the lighting and the parking and make it a pleasant downtown that we don't have, all right? And I think the feeling was you put a building in front of that, and the feasibility study found that that building needed to go also. And, you know, now you're not gonna drive down through the main street and see our beautiful building here that we have. You're gonna be looking at this, maybe with a basketball court or kids playing around the building or whatever, okay? I mean, I've literally been in this building before when we've had to call the police department because the kids are on the roof. All right, they're over there raising canes.
So there's issues, but I'm saying that in my opinion, looking at both buildings, the old town hall, yes, it's in use now, but that building is structurally a lot more sound than the old town hall. I mean, it's built like they said.
I actually have had a couple people look at the town hall, the existing town hall.
It's still structurally
And it
good.
is structurally sound. That building's not going anywhere.
It's got no land around it other than, you know.
Right. And the thing, our other thought was, obviously, is where the parking is now, and when the building is, if the bank building is gone, you could create some more parking. It'd be a great place to have our farmers market that we have tried, you know, so we would be making more parking there.
Before you consider tearing it down, just consider this a little, because architecturally, I think it would look really good if it, with the brick and, you know, colonial type looking.
Yeah.
And, go ahead.
The former building inspector, who did a lot of work on this, is what I gave you the article, again, it's back in 2016 when the article was written by Dale Opa. And Ron Coleman was a selectman at the time, and he thought it was a great idea to use that as a park and rec building. So, but probably, I'm gonna say it was definitely more than 10 years ago, a man that I have a lot of respect for, was a developer, came to a meeting one night at the school, got up and spoke adamantly about the fact that the bank and the post office is the most structurally sound building that we own in the town of Belmont. And there was an engineer there at the time, and he asked the engineer if he would substantiate that. The engineer said, yes, it is.
Yeah, just
So,
like the
I would
engineer,
just
just
like
like
to
the
guess-
engineer, Kevin, that told us the roof was gonna cave in on the existing
would
town hall.
cost to just build that.
We'll look
building
at it.
today.
Yeah,
What's sitting there, the brick building.
yeah, we can look at it.
The
Just
building's still in good
consider,
shape, other than the roof.
before we, go tear it down, look at both the old.
If we
town
wanted to
hall.
tear it down, we would have done it already, because
What's that?
we need your permission to borrow money, but we don't need your permission to tear down a building. So if we want to tear it down, the three of us can make a decision and say tomorrow it's gone, and it's gone. So if we were going to do that, we probably would have done it long before
We've
now.
torn a few buildings down, obviously, in the last few years, most of the old police station and the former meeting house, so. This one here, though, was built, like I said.
Oh, it was built for what it's intended use.
Brickwork is in better shape than this building. I mean, it's.
What's new?
It's not even.
Oh, it's- yeah.
been touched.
But our first goal is to get in here.
And I agree with that 100%, and
When that's done, then we'll look at the expense. Because I voted and did this the way I thought was the right, as pay as you go. And I look now at the interest rates and where they're going, we should have borrowed the money, stood up,
Unfortunately,
and hindsight is 20/20.
Right.
And the cost of doing it, we could have done it all 5 years ago and been
None of us
done.
knew what-
I mean, we made out well with the police station because the bond passed and we were able to get it in,
And they were
Just
very surprised.
under-
They went through the first.
oh, yeah.
Everybody was.
Yeah, the one and only time in this town, but it just is, now we're,
All right, we just
but
like.
and again, we
I'll
don't.
consider it. I like the drawing.
We don't know what the cost is
We
gonna
just like you to
be.
consider it, and take it into consideration, I guess is the key term.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
and see where it goes, you know?
So what do you think the cost would be to renovate it as
That was
such?
gonna be my next
well,
question.
look at it two different two different drawings there. The bottom two is just putting a roof on both buildings.
And that would be a truss roof, a wooden structure, like Ron was talking about earlier, with the new, maybe possible new library, so. I mean, it needs a roof, it needs to look like the buildings around it, there's no doubt about it.
And just remember, when you put this roof on, you're not gonna be seeing this building if you're coming down through the main
Well,
street.
you block it a little bit, but I don't think you'll block it a lot as it might seem.
Well,
And that's hard to say without going out there and taking a photograph, and, kind of.
and I know some discussion has been to block off, what's this little street right here called? This little street?
Oh, the cut through there?
Yeah, and to change that too. There's been talk about doing that also, so.
Oh,
That
there's
puts
a,
everybody down the end of this street, though, they don't like that down there.
No, it doesn't matter what you do.
there's
You're
a,
not gonna.
yeah,
All right.
real quick, there's a company, that's really good, and a lot of people don't know about it, but they'll take pictures. You take pictures of your downtown, and you give them a contract, and they'll come back and give you a visual rendering with those pictures.
I think there was a rendering done, yeah. We've
We
had,
did
we've
do-
got
when we
renderings, we've
did
got
that-
But
renderings.
they do a real rendering,
Yeah.
not an architectural
Yeah.
rendering. They do one that you can actually look at and say,
Sure.
wow, that's really nice.
Yeah,
There
awesome.
was one more point I forgot to make, and it was to do with the parking, if that was ever to become the park and rec building. Because of the meeting room we end up with now, if we ever had something really, like we had planning board meetings where you get 40, 50 people come out, that also would work great, because it would be open, and we could actually have meetings there, or you have to do the overflow into two separate rooms.
No,
No, that one,
that
yeah.
room's twice as big as this one.
Yeah,
Well, I'm just saying, it could be used for other things, not just park and recs.
yeah. Well, anything, I mean, no different than these buildings. We use them for many different kinds of
You're
meetings and
hoping to fill
stuff.
this
so.
one up, though, that's the point.
You won't fill it. If
With
we,
our employees.
well, since we had some reorganization in the planning department, when a man retired and the new people came in, you can actually walk in there and turn around in their office now, and you can look in. We don't have a stand-up computer that you had to have, and you don't have 52 years of paperwork hanging out these
Oh,
boxes.
they've done a great job.
So it looks a little more open. I mean,
You can put another body in there. Desk and-
so, yeah, we're growing and we know it.
And they did a great job with the plan for, the third floor. When they do move over here.
Yep.
They've got a real good
Yeah, they,
layout.
Yep, they do.
Using most of the existing stuff.
Right.
that they did.
There'll have to be
Without
a-
a lot of cost involved. No
nope,
way.
no.
I'm 100% behind Sonny on this one. I was sitting there 6 years ago when he came in, and That was your campaign platform, as I remember, that we need to move over the mill. So here we are 6 years later, and some of us.
We're getting there.
Well, and I would say to the defense of the board that the board knows and has always planned to move over here, and instead of taking out multi-million-dollar bonds, we have saved aside a little here every year, and then the new police department came too, so we had to take funds that we were saving to, you know, move Donna's office over here and make this a whole new meeting space, and we set aside more funds this year, so hopefully, you know, we're getting pricing on the design, and they've come in and looked at the floor, we've done the floor plan, so the board is working very hard to
The
make
biggest
that
expense
happen
that we're gonna deal
without
with in this project
going for bonds.
is the elevator and your heating system and electrical.
In this building. Now, the elevator is that,
Well, it's working,
But it's
but you
outdated.
can't get parts.
Antiquated is the word.
It's, yeah, well, I was trying to be,
I've heard that.
yeah, I'm trying to be, you know, that it's,
it's
yeah.
on its way.
It's marginal.
Yeah, we have it inspected twice a year, and it's passed all the inspections. The problem being is the availability of
Parts.
parts or replacement
Yeah,
parts.
that's what happens to all equipment.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
for
so
us, there's
that
a safety issue.
that could just, yeah, so,
So it was just some thoughts.
Yep, yep.
You know.
I mean, we've been hashing this out back and forth for years, that we have been, yep. It's no decision, no final decision's been made, but, pros and cons, and again, depending on what the library's gonna do, you know, we're trying to plan ahead and trying to be, yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, this building is a priority. This is gonna come first.
Oh, yeah.
That bank building will still be sitting over there 5 years from now, and it's only gonna deteriorate. Because this is gonna be the building that we're gonna concentrate on getting done.
Right,
And we're having trouble getting the taxpayers to give us the money to do it.
But you still have to deal with the building you're moving out of, Sonny, so you're gonna have to do something with that.
Well, the town hall, I don't believe we should have to do much with that at all. The old town hall.
Well, we've had to keep, and
So
again,
you're gonna have to go.
yeah, but one of the good things with that building is we have kept it up, all right? We've done really well with maintenance through the years, and Jean was able to get, grants for heating system. We replaced, I think it was, did we do the fire department?
I thought there was a moisture problem in the basement over there. Mold or something they talked about?
That's that man right there. There's one corner of the basement that's dirt, the rest is all cement now, isn't it?
I remember
Yeah,
they were
we've-
talking about using it for something else, so the basement was an issue.
The furnace is relatively new at the town hall.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's due for its annual cleaning this week, and I'll have a report on that.
The great thing over there is, I mean, we've been storing plans and records and everything down there. We've got the vault down there, but the great thing there is, like the stuff from the beach. You know, we got stuff, and we can put it down there, and it doesn't matter if it's damp or not, because it's
I
not
like
stuff.
those town halls.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
wanna see the wrecking ball hit the town hall. That's
Well,
all.
I don't wanna see the wrecking
I didn't wanna see the
ball.
wrecking ball hit the mill, there was a small group that
Yep,
stuck
they
together and it
did.
did.
But the thing with the town hall is that if we
There was
sell
person wanted
it,
this
if we
plaque.
sell it, oh yeah, if we sell it, we have no control over what it becomes. And,
Yeah, well, you don't wanna bring in, you don't wanna have a
Yeah.
slumlord buy it and.
but you have no control over that when you
Yeah.
put it up for sale.
It would be nice to see it more become like, a business.
You don't say slumlord, you say workforce housing.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I'm old school.
All right, thank you. We have to go into, this meeting is adjourned? No, it's not adjourned.
Set the next meeting, so
Oh.
we should be meeting,
September 12th.
no, we should be meeting Monday, September 5th, but it's Labor Day. Are you okay with a Tuesday or a Wednesday meeting that week?
Wednesday would be better for me.
Wednesday.
Wednesday?
And
Sunny,
that
can you
was-
do Wednesday, the 7th? Instead of Monday because of the holiday?
Yeah,
And then that way you don't have to do
Yeah.
2 meetings that are totally off?
yeah, I think it'll work good
Okay,
for
and
me
I will
anyway.
make it in red on the agenda and on the website that the meeting is on a Wednesday. The next meeting's on a Wednesday, September 7th, and not a Monday. Thank you.
It's the
And
holiday.
then after that, it should be as per usual, the 19th. And yes, we do have non-public, letter C, if you wanna go into
Okay,
that.
non-public 91-A:3, Roman numeral number 2. Letter C, roll call.
Sonny Patton?
Ruth Mooney?
John Pike.
All right. Thank you.
I'm gonna shut off the other
Thank you,
camera.
Craig.
Thank you, Greg.